everybody. Welcome to another episode of XenoChat. I am one of the hosts, Tyler, along with my co-host, Justin.
Hello, everyone.
Okay, and we have quite a few guests returning from the first part of Love. We have, first we have Mary, and we got Kat.
Hello.
And now, we kind of had some trouble with remembering stuff from Xenoblade X, so we went and kidnapped another guest, and that is Nick.
I'm being held here against my will. Please help.
No,
Sure,
no.
Sure.
That's
Sure,
a lie.
sure,
He
sure.
wanted to be here.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, wait. Xenoblade X? Yeah, I think I can talk about that a little bit. And 2, for that matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, previously on XenoChat, we discussed, our topic is love, and we discussed Xenogears and Xenosaga and Xenoblade Chronicles 1. So now we're going to continue where we left off and continue with X. But before we get into that, we just have a little bit of our usual stuff. First, for news, there hasn't been too much news since our last recording, but there was an interview.
Sorry.
Oh, no, you're fine. I was just going to mention the interview with Harada and Takahashi that Lugal Banda translated.
Yeah.
That was the main thing that happened. It kind of went over just kind of how Monolith Soft has developed and changed over the years. And kind of went over what happened with Xenosaga Episode 2.
Yeah, E3 just happened. There's definitely no news coming out of that, so...
Surprisingly.
I think...
Though, there was that one nasty rumor that was floating around about Xenogears coming to Switch, and then that one person had, that screenshot.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was disappointing.
Yeah, but Square, they did say that they are going to try to bring most of their library to digital.
Yeah.
So, I guess that kind of implies something maybe coming in the future. I don't know.
They had... from what I had heard, that actually expressed that they wanted to bring everything.
That's what I'm saying.
Some
It's
point.
like, if everything is coming, I guess that's some sort of confirmation or maybe implication that they're at the very least thinking about it.
I won't believe it's until I'm downloading it.
Yeah, basically.
That's how skeptical I am now.
I
So,
won't
I
believe
guess
it until... I'm sorry.
So I was going to say, it's not like get your hopes up, but they're thinking about it. I guess that's the way to put it.
Yeah.
I was going to say I won't believe it until they re-release the bouncer on...
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, the bounce.
I want Air Guys in my hand,
Oh man, Air Guys.
even though I already own it.
Yeah, I have it too.
Oh my
I would
God.
I really want them to continue localizing their Japanese only stuff because I really want Live Alive to get an official translation because that game's amazing. Which is why that was so exciting when they announced that Romancing Saga 3 and also Seiken Densetsu 3. Those finally have English translations, which is sweet. But yeah, that's a whole other thing. That's other RPGs. We're not talking about those other RPGs. We're talking about Xeno.
Never heard of them. I don't...
I mean, hey, there was a new Xeno game at E3, Astral Chain.
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. I can't wait for that.
Game of the
sick.
year.
There's even gonna be
Game-
cats.
It's my game of E3, personally.
Yeah.
Yeah,
too.
me too.
But, that and Breath of the Wild 2.
Well, yeah,
I pretty much
but that was
broke
so far off.
They showed that.
Yeah,
Which-
I don't know how much, cross Xeno stuff is happening with Zelda, because I've never really played a single Zelda game for more than, half an hour.
Well, aside
but
from-
it's exciting that...
Sorry.
It's exciting that Monolith is actually helping develop these, and I should probably play them someday.
Yep.
Hey, if you like rhythm games, Cadence of Hyrule is actually really good too.
I'm probably terrible at rhythm games because dyslexia.
Well, you can actually turn it into basically a wait mode where it turns into kind of a strategy dungeon crawler. But
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, it doesn't. You don't have to go into rhythm at all. So there's that.
I'm surprised you guys aren't tearing me apart because I haven't played Zelda.
No, you're fine. I've only beaten one Zelda game, and I own maybe 3 or 4 others that I haven't beaten.
Yeah, I'm not saying anything because I know our listeners are going to tear you apart anyway, so I don't have to lift a finger.
Well, yeah, and tearing people apart is totally how you get someone into a franchise, of course.
Yeah.
You gotta argue your point, otherwise they won't ever understand.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I wouldn't do that. It's not cool to do that.
So back to the Zelda saga.
Zelda saga.
Anyway.
Yeah, okay. I think that was all the other Xeno news I could think of, unless there's anything else that slipped by.
No, I don't think so.
Nah.
I don't remember anything.
I vote nay as well.
Alright.
Alright, then next up, Nick, would you like to go into your history with the Xeno series and how you got into the franchise?
Okay, so it's really not super weird, but in a way I guess it kind of is. I don't know. It's mostly just I started with the first Xenoblade. I remember whenever I was younger and barely had access to the internet because it was terrible out here, and just because we had this thing called dial-up whenever I was a kid. Oh,
I relate.
And gaming sites, if they were there, I didn't know about them. I just knew about Nintendo Power, and there was this cool-looking game. It was set on these gods coming out on a Nintendo console, and that's all I had owned for the longest time. And I was like, oh my god, that is so epic. And so I knew I had to get it whenever it eventually came out, and I didn't get it right away because I was actually kind of poor, and at the time I was just kind of getting into RPGs. I grew up with a lot of platformers and Zelda and things like that. And so I didn't know much about that type of game in the first place. I never even had a Super Nintendo. I always played one at my relatives' houses. So I had an NES, and I didn't have any RPGs on it. So I got into RPGs a bit later anyway. But I really loved it whenever I finally did start getting into them, especially with Xenoblade Chronicles 1. And from there, I kind of went, I got, when X came out, whenever I saw the promotional materials for that, the aesthetic just blew me away in the first place. It was something I knew that I would really, really want even more. It spoke to me even more than the first one did, just in how that world looked like a place I wanted to be, a place that was really amazing to be in. And I happened to, after the fact, come across a limited edition copy of it in a store, which was very surprising, and I snatched that thing right up. So, after that, I actually didn't play all the way through that game and didn't understand how to play it for the longest time, to be honest. I played through a big chunk of it, but I honestly played a bunch of side missions more than anything. And whenever Xenoblade 2 came out, I got it, and I went, I got really big into it. I was going through some kind of rough stuff a little bit at the time of Xenoblade 2, so it was kind of a great escape there. And I remember I just would stay up kind of playing that for the next few months, and doing everything that I could possibly do in it, that I could, within the bounds, before even beating the story, I was hitting all the side quests and everything like that in that game. And it kind of got me where I really wanted to go back and play the other Xeno games. So I went back and I played through Gears because I was able to get a means to play it, to put it simply, and I ended up loving it. It took me a little while to beat it because, it's a long game, but it's also there were times at which I had other things going on and just had to take a break from it for a little while. But I covered it over the course of a few months. It didn't take me, or it wasn't nonstop like Xenoblade Chronicles 2 was, but I beat it and I loved it. And Then I went back and played X all the rest of the way through, and I actually still play X to this day, on and off, because it's kind of a comfort game for me. Like, I can go back to it anytime and play some side missions I hadn't hit before, or just do some random stuff. There's always stuff to do in that game, and I finally beat it, and the ending of it kind of spoke to me in ways that a lot of the Blade games I felt like hadn't really gone that deep before. And Gears kind of had, but I really liked the way that X went. I loved how mysterious it was, especially at the end, and I thought that a lot of people didn't give it some of the credit it deserved in like its depth in some areas, especially like people talk about the characters in that one a lot. But I don't feel like a lot of people really got to know the characters on that level. And maybe some people just have different opinions about that anyway, but that was just how I felt. Most recently, I went through Xenosaga and actually streamed it for some friends who were interested. I spent months and months on and off with the help of some really awesome people trying to get that thing running, because my only means to play it, and for that matter stream it, were difficult. And so when we finally got that going, I played through it, and I just recently beat it, and I love it too. It did things kind of on that same level as X, and I've heard a lot of people have similar opinions about that.
Yeah.
And I there's still a lot I don't know, but I'm really excited to get into the second one eventually. The thing that's kind of weird about this story is that I'd heard about Saga for a long time. I remember back in like 2001 on one of my first school trips, whenever we went to like a mall, and I saw the gigantic like stand-up cardboard thing of Xenosaga 1, and I was like, whoa, what is that? And then I never saw it again until like years and years later, and I had a roommate for a while whenever I was in college who was obsessed with Xenosaga, but it was like I didn't have a means to play it at the time, and it was also kind of hard to deal with that particular roommate sometimes, so it was not always the easiest to take some of the suggestions to heart. But I like, whenever I saw video footage of it, whenever they showed me that, I was like, okay, yeah, someday I do need to play this series. That looks amazing. And I mean, the way that my roommate normally brought up stuff, it just annoyed me, and that actually stuck out for me is kind of saying something, I think.
Yeah. There's also the fact that I often talk to you about it a bit too much, but yeah.
Well, yeah, whenever I started hanging out with Maria here a lot, like she brought it up a lot, so I ended up like, yeah, I knew I kind of needed to play it back then, but I definitely need to play this series all the way through now.
Yep.
Because I could tell it was something big. And actually, I wasn't going to go like too big in it, but like at the time when we were playing Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Mary was also playing it, and she was going through hard times, and we were both kind of having some issues with a mutual friend. Don't think I'll go a whole lot further into it than that, but it was not a great time. So that was kind of like the antidote to that.
Yeah, it was. We were just playing that game that was super, like, mild and cool to play, and was helping with the mood.
And it's really awesome to play a single player game like that, especially with another person, because it's so much fun to like compare notes on the fly like that. And especially when you're in a place where things are tough otherwise, I think, it helps.
Yeah, it's kind of fascinating how I've noticed a bunch of us have kind of similar stories with multiple different Xeno games where it's helped us out through tough times, and that's kind of really saying something about the overall arching series in general.
Yeah, it's definitely art that comforts the disturbed.
100%. Especially if you find characters that you relate to. Like I've mentioned before, like Xenoblade 1 came out at a time where I was going through a lot of struggles and stress. And I remember I got the game. I got it when it came out, and then I spent a lot of time alone playing it, and just doing that kind of just put me in my own little zone, and it helped me get through a lot.
Xenoblade 2 is definitely a great game for, like, being, like, it's an uplifting presence, I feel. Like, the characters are really good for, like, putting you in a good place, and I've had a lot of struggles in the past, actually, with feeling confident in myself, and loving a character like Zeke, for one, like, really helps give me a guideline for, like, yeah, that guy's an idiot, and I want to be him. He's great.
Zeke is wonderful.
Yeah, he is.
Yes.
And he's not really an idiot either. Like, he's actually, he shows some really, I feel like, especially towards the end of that game, he shows some really good emotional intelligence, especially. And I really respect that. But the other Xeno games, and to some extent the Xenoblade games, but I feel like some of the older ones really get into some of the nitty-gritty philosophical stuff that I really like too. So that those, like, I ate those up.
Yep.
Those were a snack.
As in SNACC?
Yeah, they were a snack.
All right. So I think at this point we're probably going to move back to our main topic.
Yep.
Which is love.
Speaking of snacks.
All right, and yeah, so we'll go back into our.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. So yeah, we'll go into Xenoblade X or Cross, whichever you prefer.
I usually say X, but I don't care either way, honestly.
Yeah,
I always say X.
It's just
okay, good. Because sometimes I hear people say Cross, and then I get self-conscious about saying X.
Yeah, I know a lot of, like, Japanese games, when they have the X, it tends to be Cross, like Project Cross Zone.
Yeah, which is weird because I usually call that Project Cross Zone, which is I don't know why my brain works like that.
Yeah, it's weird because I mean, there's a lot of other games that have X's in the title, like Mega Man X or Metal Slug X. So I guess, like, when I see Xenoblade Cross, my mind just defaults to saying Xenoblade X.
Yeah, I just default to X also, especially because it hits that edgy, like, circa early 2000 era vibe with some of its stuff a little bit. So Xenoblade Extreme kind of thing, or something going on here. It's a great game. Like, I have really shit taste sometimes, and they really involve, like, that era sometimes. But like some of my tastes in music, but I like a lot of music, so whatever.
Yeah, it's a good game. I've gotten into several discussions and arguments about Xenoblade Cross over the years because so many people, they can't get over the story, they can't get over not falling in love with every single character, to the point where, like, they completely overlooked everything else in the game, and it's nuts.
I won't bring up the end because of spoilers too much, but I will say that I think that there's something about some of the questions it asks at the end that are better unanswered, better left to the imagination. That's actually one of the things I enjoy about it, because it just kind of poses, and it implies enough too, I feel like, anyway, but I like that it just leaves that certain questions open. There's
it's so funny that you say that, because you're literally the first person I've ever heard say that about Xenoblade Cross's ending. Because I remember it came out and there was threads upon discussions about people raging at that ending and just being pissed off and being like, "Oh, you know, what the hell? This is such a shitty ending. How could they do this? How could they end a series like this?" And oh man. But so it's funny to hear this.
It's obviously they're coming back to it. How, like, yeah.
If it had finished off, though, too, and just answered all that, I don't know that it'd be the same kind of discussion piece that it is at the same time. Like, I feel like that's interesting. And no, I'm not saying game developers pad your games by making a mystery that's unsolvable in the game, but, like, that was enough of one that's, like, lent into something, like, on a more philosophical level, I feel. That's just an interesting question to ask in general. Well, like thematically, not the exact question, it poses, but like on a thematic level, I felt kind of that way about it. I don't know if I'm alone there, but yeah, that was one of the things I liked, because honestly, up to that point, the story was like, well, this is kind of straightforward, I mean, it wasn't like it was unoriginal, because I really liked a lot of the themes involved in that. There is a very big theme in X of acceptance and togetherness and just surviving on a planet you know nothing about that does really, really weird stuff. And involved in that is like a lot of lovey-dovey things like we should be discussing on this podcast. So
oh, that's a great segue. So
yes.
What's the first I guess character pair we can look at? I don't know where that list is. I had it open, and now I don't.
Oh, luckily.
You're fine.
It's in the...
Okay, here we go.
Okay,
I have it up.
Okay.
So, Elma and the main character. I know some of you say that Elma is the main character, but no, we're not going to call her the main character. So, it's going to be Elma and whoever you create.
Mr. Silent.
Cross.
Mr. Silent Protagonist.
Yeah.
Cross to some.
Yes.
And I think this is the first of the Xeno series that has a make your own protagonist, and I think I remember it getting a lot of criticism because it was like, they're trying to be Skyrim, they're trying to be Fallout, this isn't a real Xeno game, blah, blah, blah. But also I think it helped a lot of people sort of discover stuff about themselves by playing this game. As a lover of previous JRPGs, with a reason to represent themselves in things. So I know a lot of people really loved Elma, and some of them played the Elma and the main character as lovers for themselves. Sometimes, when you try to talk about that to other people, it's not super popular, because once if you shipping two canon characters usually explodes, and you get a whole lot of fandom.
Oh yeah, you can anger some people just by shipping characters, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But with this personal avatar, it becomes a lot more personal. So
yeah. And you're right, and I know it's kind of a touchy topic, because there's people who like to portray themselves in video games, and then there's a lot of people out there who look down on that, and they're like, oh, you're just trying to self-insert because, you just fantasize about these characters. But no. I heavily disagree with that. I like the idea of being able to put yourself in and kind of, like you mentioned, Kat, discover something about yourself. When I played Xenoblade X, I actually made a character that was based on me, and I tried to react to situations in ways that I would react in real life. And I actually really like that Xenoblade X gave you some really funny dialogue choices, because it added a lot of life to what could have been a boring scenario.
Yeah, definitely. I have problems with my own self-worth, so sort of being forced into, I have to represent myself was an odd fit at first, but, it sort of got me thinking, if I existed in this thing, and I allow myself to exist, this is okay.
I was going to say, though, I personally love character creators, for one thing. They are amazing, and I will go in a game sometimes just to, if a game has a good character creator, there are some afternoons I will, come in from work, and I'll just be, tired, and I will sit down, and I will create a character, and that was all I will do with it.
You and I are the same person, because I did the exact same thing. When Soul Calibur 6 came out last year, I straight up bought it, full price, day one, $60. I have not played any of the story mode. I barely played the arcade mode. I've only played character creator, and I spent well over 30 hours just on that. I don't even play the game. I just make characters and post them on Twitter.
To be honest,
I wish I had it.
I'm a bit the same, because whenever any games, if there's creation of character, I'm just gonna go there and pretty much lose a few hours just trying to create my character and keep changing feature until I get satisfied. But in X, I remember I actually had done the I was roleplaying at the time. I pretty much had done like a original character from a roleplay. But I think if I was to redo a game, I'd try to look at the options and try to remake, I don't know, Chaos or something, since I know his outfit is kind of in the game. So
You had your character in him.
Also,
No one is surprised, but I made a pretty good Ramses as my avatar in X.
Yep.
It is.
Yes.
Also, on a weird side note, when they were showing Cross in like the promo for Xenoblade X, am I the only one that felt like he looked really similar to the old Nintendo Power mascot, Nestor?
Like, you know,
my first reaction,
kind of...
my first reaction was that the main character looked a lot like Shulkish at the end of the trailer.
Yeah.
But
Well, that
Same.
was in that first trailer where they showed that one blonde character. But I'm talking about like the redhead guy.
Oh.
Like, he looked really similar to the very old Nintendo Power mascot, and I always wondered if that was like intentional, but I don't know.
Maybe.
Just a weird little side note. I'm probably alone in it, but yeah.
By that time, by that time, Nestor had not been in Nintendo Power in years, and it wasn't very often that they actually brought him up.
I didn't play a lot of the old Nintendo games because the fact that I started being a gamer more around PS1, because before that I did not really own Nintendo consoles so much. So
that's why I thought it was kind of a weird thing, because Nestor had long since been retired from Nintendo Power by the time X came out. So when I saw that, I guess maybe that was my headcanon that they brought Nestor back and put him in Xenoblade X.
That's the place to put him. Of course. I could see him art style based being more in like Professor Layton maybe or something, but
You know, I'm old enough to remember old Nestor, and I hadn't thought about that until you suggested it just now.
I don't see why they didn't put Captain N, the Game Master, in there as the main character. Is my thing.
No idea.
Too obscure. I guess.
That would be cool if he was in there.
Someone knows.
No, I used to watch clips of that, and I love how all the characters look weird. Like Mega Man looks really weird in that. It's good.
Yeah, he does.
Oh.
Pit.
I heard it.
Pit in that show. Yeah, never like for my character. I make anybody really. I like to switch. I actually do a lot of roleplay stuff, like like Pathfinder stuff and such sometimes. So I like to switch out. Like sometimes I'll make I usually switch off if I feel like making a say male or female character or what. But in Xenoblade X, I decided to represent myself, so I made a female character with purple skin and pink and silver hair, which is totally not me.
That looks exactly like you.
Yeah, of course. But I had fun with it. I especially had fun whenever there's a side quest that's actually kind of difficult to find later in X, because it just kind of pops up at random only if you've done certain other quests that let you unlock the character creator again, and it's just a machine. It's like, well, you're I guess we can spoil it. I mean, you're a mim, so you're a robot body, so we can just modify you however.
Yeah.
Right?
I couldn't laugh
Yeah,
at that.
you can only like go, and I always hate it because you can only go back at like midnight, and it's only within that hour that you can go back and
that's just when Yardley operates. He's a man of mystery.
Yeah.
Or is he a man? I don't know.
But yeah, I mean, I guess we can get back on topic, like, because you mentioned the whole thing about who the characters are in New LA, and that goes into, I guess, the next pairing, which would be Elma and Humanity, and her relationship with Humanity before things happened and they had to leave Earth and they got into that battle in space.
Yeah, because, well, I mean, I guess we can officially say spoilers, if you haven't finished X, don't continue any further. But
I haven't finished, but I'm the one who's doomed at it, so just go ahead. I'll spoil myself.
Well, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So do you want to skip this, since this is really getting to spoilers? Because, yeah, that does kind of get into, like, the last chapter of the game.
I would hate to spoil it for her, but it is one of many things that X kind of comes up with, and I had seen the spoiler out there so many times before I beat the game and didn't realize what was going on. Like I saw the picture and I'm like, and they're like, oh, that's a spoiler, and I'm like, what? She just looks different.
Well, I know that Elma has another form, if that's what you're referring to. I just did not see the context of it. But
okay. Should we skip it?
Okay, then we can skip it then.
I mean,
Okay.
We
All
won't
right.
spoil it this time.
Okay.
Elma is Superman. I'm just kidding.
Kinda, but
There's I will say that there's like a fan theory out there that like Elma is supposedly Cosmos. But that's getting into weird stuff. That's getting into weird stuff. Yeah.
No.
yeah.
That
If
doesn't.
anything, she's.
Why would you ditch a robot body for a robot body? Come on.
wow.
Oh man.
There are better things to use Cosmos for.
Yeah. I'm sorry, fans.
Yeah.
I just disproved your theory, I think.
Well,
I think Jin
wait,
broke.
wasn't No, that just reminds me in the Xenoblade 2 art book for Cosmos RE, isn't she like version 6 or something like that? So maybe Elma, the white-haired one, is like version 5, and no, I'm trying to... No, this isn't working out. Never mind. Ignore me.
No.
I'm
That's why that one Infinity mission in Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Elma gets super jealous of Cosmos RE. That must be it. Oh, you guys didn't play that one?
Are we gonna have
I didn't
another episode of Xenomyths? Is Elma actually
God,
Cosmos?
okay. Oh no.
I didn't come up here to make them up. Sorry.
Do we have to get Pure
Yeah,
here to like clean things up?
Pure, is this true? I just made this up.
Gosh.
I love how we mention Pure at every episode now.
Every episode, we have to at least mention him once.
Well, he's the biggest Xeno fan on Earth, of course.
Right? Yeah, he loves it so much.
I hope he listens to this episode.
All right. So yeah, then we could kind of go into this one, Elma and the Man from Japan. Because before she left Earth, or while everyone left Earth, Elma had a relationship with this guy from Japan. It's really... I just kind of stumbled upon it a little bit. I mean, it's just... they were so vague about it.
I can confirm they do mention this in the game. I'm almost dead certain I remember them mentioning something about him being from Japan in the game.
Yeah, but in Xenoblade 2, whenever you see her cutscene, she does mention like the trees being like where she was from originally, and I mean it's pretty much Sakura trees, so
yeah, it's Uriah. Yeah.
Was there a rumor that the man from Japan could have been the hero that it mentions at the very start of the game?
Yes. At first I thought it was Nagi, but people are saying it's the player character, which is weird because the player character really didn't have that background in X.
If it were the player character, it would have been like, well, it's his true like form is lost in this, like the Mimeozome does not resemble him, and it's just like
okay.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying I just don't know if that's. I don't see that being true with Elma not absolutely like figuring out who you are by the end of it. Kind of like you're still. I never saw a part where it was explained that you weren't like that you were someone that she figures out that she knew or anything. Maybe that's the case, and it just doesn't go there in the game. But I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't remember enough.
Yeah, I just thought it was super weird that they were like kind of vague about this guy that she had feelings for, and then he was involved with. Well, I think it sort of implied he was a part of the hero of that attack on the white whale.
Well, if you looked like the guy that used to be like her dude or the girl, even I don't know. Like I would have thought that when she found you in the pod at the start, she would have been like, "Oh, it's you! Shit!"
Right?
You know, like, "Oh, you're new. We'll help you out. Don't worry." But yeah,
Yeah, so
it's a hard one to talk about because there's not much on it.
Yeah, I will say this. I don't do a whole lot of Xenoblade X content, but when I do, I very lately shipped Nagi and Elma. So when people were starting to say it's not Nagi, it's the player character, I kind of just sort of rolled my eyes and walked along.
Did they? I might be wrong about this, but I thought somebody brought up something about Nagi like crashing the ship, and I was like, Nagi didn't crash the ship. They got hit by alien attack.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like something he would do on purpose.
No, he's pretty
Right.
competent.
yeah.
You can make him wear his underwear for that one mission where he just goes in and takes out all those guys at once.
That'd be pretty epic.
If you give a character Margulis's voice actor, I will like them.
Oh, yeah, I guess that's the thing. Yeah, I didn't
Who's
think about
okay?
that. You know what? I can ship Nagi with anyone in that game. You can just have all of them. Nagi is humanity, so Elma X humanity confirmed.
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. Let's move on to the next one.
Lin and Tatsu,
So,
right?
all right. So yeah, Lin and Tatsu, which is definitely a friendship, even though she's always every chapter she has, every time she threatens to eat Tatsu.
She's like, oh, I wonder what we'll be cooking today. Looks at Tatsu.
I think it actually.
On a lot of art that I saw of Lin and Tatsu, I got the same impression that I got with Melia and Ricky from Xenoblade 1.
Oh, I love of food. I don't like. Honestly, I think it helps that. I think that it helps that. I think one of the things that was interesting is that if you think about it, Tatsu and Linley are actually like the same age. They both mention at one point in the game that I think Tatsu might be 1 year older, actually. He says that he's 14 at one point and Linley is 13. And so them kind of having almost like this sibling-like fighting kind of thing where he makes fun of her she makes fun of him and he gets like freaked out about it. And, it felt very much like that kind of thing. And they are about the same age, so it makes sense that it kind of helped. Oh yeah, Tatsu's kind of annoying, but he's a teenager. Apparently, that's still a thing with. I'll do the pronunciation of Nopon because it's X, which is actually brought up in Xenoblade 2. By the way, they talk about. Oh wait, you guys pronounce it Nopon, not Nopon? That was interesting. Side note.
Yeah, I remember that question. I actually love that they addressed that too.
I did too.
But the Lin and Tatsu thing. I actually I didn't care for those two characters a whole lot when I played Cross. Because the whole cooking gag, I know it's it's a popular opinion, but I actually am on that same bandwagon. I kind of got sick of it after the third time they did it. Because what is it it happens every single chapter? You pick a dish, and then you get a cutscene of
it's very forced.
Yeah, it's very forced, especially since it's literally every single chapter.
Yeah.
They run with the same exact gag.
And also, it doesn't help that after fights, almost it seemed like after every other fight, I would get the dialogue of "What's for dinner?" That whole thing with.
Yeah, that was one of the weird story issues with Xenoblade X. I remember there was one chapter in particular that was ridiculous, where I guess minor spoilers, but a large portion of New LA gets attacked. And then, literally, the next cutscene, everything is good. And, restored. It's just what happened here?
See, the only thing about that is I actually do enjoy those characters, but I actually kind of hated them at first, too. But, maybe I got Stockholm Syndrome. I don't know. I like them both now.
That's the thing. It's by themselves, they weren't too bad. It was just, I got sick of that gag.
By the end of it, I liked the gag a little bit more because there's a side quest. I believe it was an Infinity mission where Tatsu thinks he's actually going Tatsu runs away because he thinks that he's actually going to be, like, legit, like, eaten this time. And so it's one of, I think it's one of Lin's affinity missions or something, but there's a cutscene, there is a, like, elaborate cutscene in that part where he has a dream, or, like, he imagines her, like, as this evil giant entity that's about to, like, cook him, and it's actually pretty hilarious how it's framed. Because
the
it's
joke
like
finally got to him.
This huge black background, and, like, she's, like, evil looking, and, like, fingers up in evil position over this pot or something, like she's a witch. And that was actually pretty good. But other than that, the joke didn't do anything for me. It was pretty. It was a little bit cringe.
Yeah, I think I mostly enjoyed them, like, on their own, kind of. Like, I kind of enjoyed Tatsu being, like, an opan, you know? And I kind of enjoyed the whole, because I often like these kind of characters that, like, are pretty much, like, oh, I love, like, machines and, like, engineer stuff, and I pretty much like that about Lane as well.
I came to...
Yeah, I think...
Sorry.
Lynn reminds me a lot of Margie from Gears.
Yeah. She does have a very similar kind of...
I came to appreciate them kind of memeing the scene, at least. Like, I got tired of the joke, but I liked that they... I kind of came to appreciate that they did the... every single time she did the finger up thing, is like, talking about Tatsu or whatever, like, just something about that was kind of funny to me. But yeah, that was definitely a relationship.
And yeah, I just hurriedly added this because I like how you compared Lin and Tatsu as, like, siblings. Would you consider Lin and Elma's relationship kind of similar, or how would you guys define their relationship?
Elma's the big sister, I think.
Yeah, it feels a lot like that.
Yeah, either big sister or mother, parent.
Yeah.
I don't know if she's quite to the point of being, kind of motherly, but, like, I felt a bit in between on that. It feels a little more big sister to me, because
I would say close to big sister. Like, it would be Elma would be to Lynn as that one coworker that you just happen to get really close to.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's good.
And yeah, that's kind of how I see those two.
Yeah.
I don't know how much more there is to say on their relationship than that. Like, it kind of falls really into that.
Yeah, and unfortunately, kind of like Lin and Tatsu, the game kind of forces it on you, because there's a lot of the main story quests that require you to have Lin and Elma.
Yeah. That was...
I liked them enough to not mind that too much. In fact, I don't change from them a lot, because they're... Well, partially because they're actually my highest level ones, too, so...
Right.
Yeah, I did not have the patience to go and grind with the others' NPCs, which is why, like, at the point where I was at in the game, I was like, well, I need to, like, get affinity quests, but, like, the character sucks because I never took it in my party.
Which is unfortunate, because, like, I feel like, again, that's one of those things where it made people miss out on a lot of other characters in their stories, because the game tries to force Lin and Elma on you, so by the time they get the other characters, they're low level, they're not going to want to use them. They're just like, well, I may as well just stick with Lin and Elma, because that's who I've been playing as for most of the game.
Yeah.
Which is a shame.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I was just saying
it's a shame.
Go on. Because, it's a shame because the game has great characters besides Elma and Lin.
Yeah, it does.
It really does, and they add up to the side quests, and that's one of the reasons that the side quests in that game are just so good. Like, they're really well thought out, and I mean, there's like I think that there are 18 party members other than.
Oh, it's a ridiculous.
I think that's what I read, because I don't remember. Like, I don't think I ever got all of them.
Yeah, I think it ended up over the amount of party members in Final Fantasy VI, and that's a lot.
Yeah, like, I don't think I ever got all of them, and then even to this day, like, people will mention a character, and I'll remember, like, oh yeah, they're they're recruitable and they have like a whole story. It's like I often talk about how like one of my favorite characters in the game was Alexa, and it seems like a lot of people forgot about her or just never encountered her.
No, Alexa is great.
I encountered her, but like mostly, I think I did only one part or two of her quests. I didn't finish it. I don't remember finishing it.
Actually, do you guys mind if we skip a little bit? Because that's a good segue into something with Alexa that I actually thought of.
Yeah,
yeah,
by all means.
Totally.
Yeah, this list is just like so we hit a bunch of stuff.
So
yeah, it's. Go on, sorry.
Oh no, it's fine. So the thing about Alexa, Alexa and Scales is actually, yeah, of course, that's her love. But they actually, I don't know how many of you guys played this quest, but there's actually a quest where they address that a bit deeper. In that, there's one affinity quest for her that I remember doing where
is it the Black Scale?
No, it's like she goes and she talks to. It's not really as much to do with Scales as it is to do with like some of the other characters. So there's this other team that she loves like going to get like some parts or so, like helping them like maintain their scales and stuff. And they're like they get to drive around like these really or pilot these really awesome scales, and she like anytime that they need help, she'll go and like help them. So like there's this one guy who's kind of like assumedly like the leader of the team, and she always talks like really excited to him, and like the girl you can tell that's on the same team as the guy is like she acts like really jealous. And so you go into this mission and you do some things for them, and ends up that everything you do is being sabotaged. And at the end of the mission, this will spoil a small mission, but at the end of the mission, you find out that the person that's been sabotaging all the things that you're trying to do for their team is that girl that acted like jealous of Alexa.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason is because she likes the dude, and she thought that Alexa was hitting on the guy. And so Alexa has to explain, no, I just love the scales. Like I'm just all about the scales. I don't have, it's like, what? We're just friends. I don't have anything for that dude. Like, no, go for it. Like, at the end of the mission, they kind of have a heart-to-heart about it, because, like, this girl thinks that he's trying to, like, or that Alexa, she's, like, trying to steal the leader of this team away from her, and it's actually not the case at all. It's like, no, I just love the scales. And she starts like fawning about the scales, and like she goes total fangirl about them. Like it was a great quest. But that's one thing that I remembered addressing that in particular on a deeper level, on a slightly deeper level. It's like a 2
I think I think I remember that quest
that's,
a little bit.
Oh, I think I know. That's I think that's what the Scale. I think it's that quest.
It may be. I think you're right, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a fun one. If it's the one I'm thinking of, because I do remember that, and I remember that being a pretty fun one.
Yeah, Alexa's love for scales trumps all.
Yeah, she keeps. It's what the scale. She keeps failing the weapons test. The test, I think, and she keeps failing that weapons test, and she finds out that she keeps getting sabotaged by the girl, who doesn't want her to be involved because of jealousy. Because that's how it works, yo.
Yeah, and I think as a game about like rebuilding humanity after most of it being wiped out, it's love and relationships are on a lot of characters' minds, just because like holy shit, like there's gonna be none of us unless we do something about it.
There are some really interesting side missions that, might half the time be fetch quests, but half the story portions of them have to do with different, like, love situation, like, different couple situations or things addressing just that.
Yeah, and also, I forgot, everybody's a robot, so it doesn't really matter, which is a decent segue into Lao.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So,
well,
Lao in general, or?
Yeah, Lao's situation. So, from what I remember of it, because I've forgotten more than I remember, but Lao had a daughter and a wife who got left behind somehow on Earth, and they're both obviously dead. So Lao has this very nihilist attitude about anything that happens on Mira or anything that has happened past Earth. So his all of his relationships with his comrades suffer. Even Doug and Lao, they. A lot of their concept art and a lot of their intro stuff is oh yeah, we're best friends, da 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 da. But then it turns out that Lao's not feeling anything at all for stuff that's happened on Mira, and he betrays Blade and allies with Luxar and does stuff that I forgot.
Well,
yeah,
Doug.
Oh,
oh, sorry. I thought you said hold on.
No, I'm sorry.
Doug talks at times, and some other things too, about how Lao and him were really close, and he used to be like this. And Doug notes just how much Lao has changed, and yeah, Lao he lost everything, and so he thinks that the best way is for just humanity just not go on, and because his family meant everything to him, and Doug even talks about that at one point. It was yeah, Lao he's always feeling it because his family was all he had, and now that they're gone, he doesn't seem to feel like he has anything. And we're trying to let him know that he does, but you just wonder if it's, getting through to him, if he's really if he really accepts that, if he really understands and can come to terms with just can go on with the love of the people around him rather than linger on that all the time. He wants him to move on. You can tell that Doug really cares about Lao.
Yeah, from that all I remember, yeah, he does. So
and I was just gonna follow up with Lao. Yeah, he loved some people pretty hardcore, to the point of damning everyone else. But
Yeah, I really want to see what they follow up with in a possible Xenoblade X2, because the very ending with his stuff, it's such a cliffhanger, and I'm not going to articulate because spoilers here, but I want more. It's okay.
You're fine.
Is it where Lao opened his eye? Spoiler.
Well, speaking of families, we could possibly move on to Fog and Fry.
Yep.
I have to admit that I only played a few Fog. I only played maybe the introductory Fog mission. I do. Oh, actually, no. I think I played the first two of his. I like Fog a lot, but I played more of Fry's missions because I didn't find Fog until very late. But I did play enough to know that they were brothers and that they are very different.
Yes, they are so different. I didn't realize they were brothers at first.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're kind of hilarious the way they interact, though.
Yeah, Fog is the more timid and cautious one, or Fry is kind of an alcoholic.
He's the guy he's the guy who says, "Bring out the kegger" at the end of battle. I'm like, this guy is fun to have around anyway.
Yeah.
I think
they had...
Oh, I was actually going to ask about this. I don't know if any of you guys know. Somebody told me that if you have Fry and Nagi in the party, Nagi follows up on his "bring out the kegger" sentiment in some way.
Oh, I haven't tried that.
No, I've never heard of this.
Apparently he says something about, I would like, or I could go for a stiff drink or something. I don't remember what they said he said, but apparently he says something. That's what somebody told me anyway. I don't know if I can't confirm that.
That sounds very Nagi.
But that sounds, I'm like, I have to try that. That's hilarious.
Buy you beer after this, Mr. Secretary? Beer? I was hoping we'd do shots.
Indeed, it does sound...
So Fry and Nagi? I'm just kidding.
Yeah, they sound like Yeah,
Drinking
good
buddies.
drinking
So
buddies.
I guess if you want to find them late at night, they're probably in the bar getting drunk or something.
Fry is always at the bar.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
maybe like at some point some stuff happened with Nagi.
Honestly, if they had Majora's masked the crap out of Xenoblade X, I would have totally been for that. Like they did to some extent, but like if they just went full force on that as much as possible, that would.
I just
great.
wonder if Nagi, like, if he was drunk or something, if he would turn a bit like ridiculous or not.
That'd be great.
Would be hilarious.
He'd probably just
Okay.
be just as coordinated as
Probably.
ever on certain things. Honestly, it's like, I want to see
Okay.
a buddy cop movie with Nagi and Fry now. Thanks.
No, that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
All right, so next we have Shion and Alan. Oh, I mean Arena and Gwen.
It's like, how is that not a reprise of that? And it's hilarious because Irina looks a lot like Pellegri.
Yeah,
Wow.
I can
Holy
see that.
crap! I didn't see that at first.
When you first meet Irina, her partner's name is Marcus. So in my head, I'm like, not Pellegri and Marcus.
Marculus.
Marcus.
Oh, that's great.
Gwen's always talking about, it's like, I'll just never be as good as my older brother was. Feels like he can't live up to that a lot.
Just
It's like it seems like very the newer Battlestar Galactica sort of opens with that too, because female Starbuck was engaged to another character's brother who had died off screen.
The Starbucks lady is in Battlestar Galactica.
Yes.
Like from the-
Oh wait, no.
From the sign?
No, I mean, there was a character named Starbuck.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Sorry, I'm talking like on the same level of like Xeno nerdery about this other thing that I like a lot.
I didn't know if this was
amazing image in my head right now of like the Starbucks logo. Just
I didn't know if it was like a comparison based on how the character looked or if it was actually their name. So I had to ask.
No, it's their name.
I did not know there was
I
someone
got-
named
I-
Starbuck. I completely forgot that.
I got your reference, Kat. Don't worry, I got your reference.
Okay, good.
Man, I want to see
Yeah,
it.
which is yes. And then yeah, it also kind of makes it sound like how Alan was kind of in Kevin's shadow a little bit in Xenosaga.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
Oh,
definitely
yeah.
has another layer to that.
If there's anything there, which I don't know yet, if there's anything there, a lot bit, but
Yeah, it seems like it's too early because definitely Arena didn't seem like she ever reciprocated any feelings toward Gwen, or as far as I could remember. Or
I think not, actually.
oh yeah,
There's some later Affinity missions where she does hint at, like, she comes off very like militant, so it's kind of hard to see. But there are some later missions where I felt like they were definitely hinting at her liking Gwen back, and him just.
okay.
I feel like she kind of like sees I think she even like has this sentiment at some point in one of the later missions, but she knows that he is capable of a lot more and just wants him to get there, kind of. Like,
Okay.
because he is so like he lacks so much confidence in himself,
Mm-hmm.
as you come to find, like especially like in later missions, it touches upon it repeatedly, and but like there is a part later where she kind of hints at liking him back. I feel like
You could also look at it this way, because Irina, she's a leader for her team, right? So
Yeah.
you could also see it as she's deliberately tough on Gwen because she wants Gwen to be better.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
And she wants him to reach his potential.
Mhm.
And I feel like that's kind of where they were going at, because I guess like of all the other party members, Irina and Gwen probably get the most attention outside of like Lynn and Elma. You do see them
Mhm.
quite a bit, especially early on in the game. And I have a feeling that's kind of where they were going for, or at least it seemed like that to me. that she does care for Gwen, and that she's kind of cold to him because, one, she's a leader, she kind of has to be, and also because she wants to see Gwen at his fullest potential.
Yeah, basically.
Also, some of her jokes at Gwen's expense, I felt were more like I felt like they were more flirty than like what else he kind of got. So maybe that's just me, but it seemed like some of her like jokes about Gwen were like flirtations a little bit, because they talk about like they make some jokes at his expense about he could be like it was like he could be a little bit more like rugged or something like that, I think, at one point. And just little things like that. I wouldn't even mention it, but they say it more, they do something like that more than once, that I felt like the way she was coming across was a little bit flirtatious.
Yeah. Not to come in from the left, but also Irina reads as very, at least bisexual, to me, and there's a lot of people who ship Irina and Elma. That's...
Yeah, she does have a lot of respect.
I've heard that before, actually.
She does have a lot of respect for Elma as well, so...
I put Irina in, like, the big aviator shades, and it looked just perfect on her.
That's awesome.
And then I put Elle in the heart glasses, and that was the best. That was just the best.
I think I did the same, actually.
Can we talk about Elle's love for humanity? Elle's love for mixing up lines, for mixing up idioms.
Ass caves.
Here's the love for Elle. Everybody loves Elle.
Everyone should love Elle. Because you know what? All we have is love in this horse-eat horse world.
That's wonderful. And I think Elle's voice actor is also Noctis from Final Fantasy 15.
Is it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
He has such range. It's ridiculous. But yeah, Elle's such a great character. Though I kind of wish they had given him more screen time.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Written him some more dialogue that was voiced would have been awesome.
So next, I guess it's HP and himself.
Yes. Yeah, HP and his greatest love, HP.
Well, let me just pull up the wiki page on HP so we can give you his full autobiography.
Written by himself, lovingly.
With those
HP,
statue of him like posing.
Am I the only one that thought like HB looked like Hideo Kojima?
No, not at all.
I think he looks like young Hojo.
Yeah, like, and whenever
me.
I played Xenoblade X, I always had, like, I guess my headcanon was that Hideo Kojima was in Xenoblade. And so, whenever, like, I would always think of, like, Kojima whenever I would play as him or have him in my
well,
missions.
aren't I the son of a bitch who created Metal Gear Solid?
Yeah. It came out, I think, after Xenoblade X, but I always think back to the anime, Haven't You Heard I'm Sakamoto? Because yeah, it always reminded me of him.
I think that's an XP. I think he's definitely an XP. They're cut for their look is cut of the same cloth. I don't know where the origin of that XP is, but the dark-haired dude with the glasses cut a certain length is definitely a thing I've seen a lot.
It's my type.
Hello. Yes, could you not? You there, the one about to take that mission. I'm speaking to you. Ignore. Did you know?
But yeah.
Oh,
HB
apparently HB is an egotistical, narcissistic man. Didn't catch that.
I would have never guessed.
No way.
Not our HB.
But he's also like
everyone.
a very interesting character. Like, I didn't get to play a lot with him, but yeah, I did. Like, the little that I saw was like, this character like is full of crack, and I love it.
It just amazes me that he was DLC for the Japanese version. Like, I probably would have paid for him extra.
Same.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that he was included. I'm not sure if I would have or not, but, well, honestly, I probably would have if I could afford it, I would have bought all the DLC for that game. But but I'm glad it's included in there anyway, because he is a delight of a character to have in the party.
Yeah.
Whether you find him humorous or not, I am pretty sure I know that was definitely the intent. And I like it. It's funny.
He's hysterical, and I love him.
Unfortunately, I cannot find a list of his accolades to list off to everyone.
And let's not continue without saying his full name, Hector Birtwhistle.
Yes, Hector Birtwhistle.
Also, I have a question. So, can the picture for this podcast be the one of him doing his pose, his infamous shirtless pose?
Yes,
because that seems like a very fitting one.
It is fitting. Thank you for bringing that up. I will put that as the picture for the episode.
Awesome.
All right, then. How about we go on to some other characters that I wish had gotten more screen time, and that was Celica and Rock.
Oh yeah, Celica and Rock are really good.
I was actually really disappointed with Celica because she comes very late, and if I remember correctly, you got her after like a story mission, and it seemed like they were hinting that she was a lot more important than she actually ended up being.
I think one of the big things... Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you can go on.
I was just going to say, I think one of the big things is that she is... I don't remember if she was... I think she came as an affinity mission, technically. Or I thought she might have come as part of somebody else's affinity mission, if I remember correctly. But one of the things that does connect to the story a bit is one of the villains in one of the main story missions... is, well, not necessarily, well, like, she's part of the ganglion, of course, and she's got, like, this big, hulking, like, created monster, just like Rock is, basically, and, I'm trying to actually remember what, I don't think that they actually had a name for the creature that Rock is.
I'm not sure of the species name, but I'm looking up. I think it was Dagon was the enemy monster who was Rock's size.
Yeah, it's Dagon is the name of the other one, but yeah, they're it's said like both him and Rock are created in a lab or something to that effect, and they're supposed to be like they're supposed to be like a bioweapon basically. And Rock, of course, doesn't like that, so Celica, who is Clurian, and I think possibly the only known Clurian in the game, comes across him and kind of rescues him. And he's very like timid and doesn't like fighting at all. He's a pacifist. In fact, one of the mission where Celica becomes available to join your party involves getting a means for him to like find a way to work because the people want him to fight, but he doesn't want to fight. Yeah, Maurice Chasson comes out himself and is like, hey, we want you to, you need to contribute some way. We want you to fight. And basically you resolve it by, it's like, he's a big dude. He can lift heavy stuff. Let him work in construction. And so you kind of help him out because he hates fighting so much. And I don't know if this was Chasson's intention or not, but at the end, he's like, yes, of course, we found it. Like, he acts like, I planned this all along. We found a different place for Rock. I wasn't going to make him fight. I have a feeling that the next game they're going to turn him heel, and I will not be surprised, but they have a lot to, like, if they don't turn him heel, I will be very surprised. I can see that. But yeah, Celica and Rock, they're kind of just... They're a good match because they're just misfits who kind of got this sibling kind of love thing going on. I feel like they got they kind of got to this planet and didn't have anybody else to turn to, and they survived and helped each other. And like even throughout all of it, like I should bring up that in that mission where you're trying to find a place for Rock to be and help him so that he doesn't have to fight, it's actually not you trying to really help him so much as you chasing after Celica, because she doesn't want Rock to have to go through that. So, being the big sister to him she she goes off and she doesn't join Blade right away. She basically just goes off doing Blade missions herself without being a Blade. So you've got to go try and catch up with her, only to find out that she's kind of perfectly capable in most situations, and she ends up becoming a Blade at the end of the mission, and officially, and you can recruit her. But, I mean, it goes to show, like, they survived together on that planet, and it goes to show that she's very capable of taking care of Rock as, like, I don't know, maybe in a motherly sense more for her, but it kind of also felt a bit more like a big sister kind of thing to me.
Mm-hmm.
There's still a lot of Celica's affinity missions that probably go deeper into that, but I'm not sure what they are, because she was one of, personally, my more recent additions, as far as, because I play the game on and off. I like it. It's one of those games that I like to last, and so I save certain things for the next time. I'm just like feeling like chilling with my buds over in New LA.
Yeah. Okay. Then we can move on to some other kind of siblings. Well, these are definitely siblings, and that's Lara Mara and Lara Nara. Which that's again
best boys.
Yeah. Again, I at first did not think they were siblings and thought they were the same character, and Nintendo of America just like goofed on the names in certain parts.
I didn't realize until much later that they were two different characters.
Yeah, I did not either. But yeah, they're twin brothers, which is interesting. Always glad to see other twins in video games, but
yeah, and it's very interesting that I think both of them are canon gay, because Lara Nara, you come across him and he's like either in the midst of dating or at least hitting on Clemens, and I played as a male player character because I don't play female characters, and he hits on you here and there, or one of them hits on you, and it's not a big deal, and like it's kind of a gray area for me, because I think both of Lara Mara and Lara Nara's looks, like with the slick back hair and the makeup, it's kind of a Japanese gay stereotype, but also they kind of look like Margulis went to the club.
Oh, so that's why you like them.
I was actually going to ask you about that, because I knew that was kind of a stereotype. It was like, I don't know how that really... that might be a little bit offensive, but I guess at least they're trying to play them straight.
I've been trying to be careful, but like my self-insert fanfiction for Xenoblade X is my character and Lara Nara. I think that's the one I chose.
When I say play them straight, I must clarify. I don't mean that. I mean play them like seriously. You know, like not going. It's like no, I'm not trying to say play them straight as in not gay, because like
there's absolutely no way that they're not gay.
No, there's no way. I think the first time I encountered Lara Mara, he was talking about chasing that cute little thing over there or something, and like they're just escape my grasp again, darn it, kind of thing.
Yeah, so and it's like it's Lara Mara and or Lara Nara is your gay friend in their 40s.
How do you encounter them? Because I do not remember either of them.
One,
I think they're both optional. I think
they're not playable, unfortunately.
No, they're not playable. They're just affinity.
Quest givers, though. And I think the first place that I met Lara Mara was in kind of a bizarre place, because he's down the elevator in like the hangar, but he's not on the side where all the people are. He's kind of like behind. He's kind of like behind the elevator a little bit, not behind it, but like to the side where there's like not much of anything over there, like a bunch of crates full of unknown parts and things like that. He's kind of like hiding in the corner over there, typically talking to like one other guy and a Manon. But sometimes later in the game, I was seeing Lara Nara up there on the surface level, like right around the corner of Armory Alley. So, and he was giving quests at that time, so that may just be a thing like, oh, you kind of had to meet Lara Mara first, but...
Yeah, I think one of them gives you one of the more harder to beat side quests in Sylvalum. And yeah, it's like the White Scale or something.
Yes, that one is... Oh my god. I've leveled way past those things and I still haven't beaten that. There's just so many.
I'm not at level cap myself because I suck at actually playing Xenoblade X.
I am, like, even at level cap, you have to survive those guys for 3 minutes, and I just, even in a scale, like, it was really difficult because there's so many of them, and I got really close, but I still haven't gone back since the last. I think I was actually below level cap the last time that I went and faced them, but I was still quite a few levels above them. But yeah, that's a really difficult mission. It's called the White Life Hold, I believe. The White Hold.
Oh, okay, yeah.
White Life Hold, I'm pretty sure is what it's called, yes. I think it's a bunch of Definians that attack you on that mission.
But that makes sense because their whole, like, storyline goes through Definian stuff.
There's not a lot more, I don't think. There's not a lot more I can remember to bring up about them in general, except for maybe like the Laranara and Clemens thing, and I think the main thing with that was he's just basically kind of always chasing after Clemens and hitting on Clemens. Except for, there is that...
It was a pretty, like, shallow side quest, but...
There is that later mission where
it's meant
Clemens
to just, like...
turns out to not be, like, there.
Yeah, it's like he was a Definian all along, and he never actually met the real Clemens.
But on that note, he fell. Well, apparently you never met the real Clemens, and Clemens was a Definian. You find out that Clemens is a spy in that mission, and you chase him down. Find out that he's actually a Definian, and it proceeds to have like a thing where that Definian has actually kind of come to love humanity, and questions why it has to do this. And so that particular Definian is like basically the other Definians get to, I guess, her? I'm not sure. They all look like women, but it's hard to say.
Yeah, because they're shapeshifters.
But they're shapeshifters, yeah. And basically she gets killed by her own people for like kind of turning against them because it's been so much. She's been in with the humans for so long, like almost since the beginning of their landing on Mira, that she's come to love humanity too. And it's kind of a sad mission, honestly.
Yeah.
But that's worth noting because it's also there's a big thing in X. Like maybe some of the characters don't hit well with everyone. Like maybe you don't connect to all of them, but there is a big like overall love kind of, and like a big relationship kind of feeling of just this idea of being able to create a utopia for where everyone is accepted, and I love that about that.
A strong sense of community.
Yes.
Right.
Almost like Torna.
I was just thinking about that.
But
okay.
I think we have like maybe one more thing from X to tackle before we really need to move on to 2. Probably.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, that is the 2 best dads of Blade, and that's Nagi and Van Damme.
Oh yeah. I love both Nagi and Van Damme.
Yeah, they're both
so
really
much.
cool.
Yeah,
Yes.
and that's it. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that's good enough for me, honestly. But, yeah.
Van Damme's like your Van Damme's kind of like your
He's your coach kind of
kind of
thing.
strict but cool. Well, I was just like in a relationship terms, he kind of feels like your tough love, cool uncle a little bit to me.
Yeah,
pretty
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's the best way to describe him, but that's what I got.
No, that's it exactly.
Let's chill, Uncle Van Damme. Like let just cool it on the military stuff for a little while. Let's make some food. Get some. Let's get some tea early in the morning.
He kind of reminds me almost of like a gym teacher that I had back in like high school.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just like the way he is and like how he's always like getting you like the military thing and trying to like get you prepped for like missions.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that.
that's totally a thing. I love that mission where you come across him like at that sitting outside on his own early in the morning at the coffee shop. It's so good. It's like, damn, Van Damme, you're a man of culture. as well. Yeah.
All right.
I
guess we can.
We kind of talked about Nagi already more, I guess. So
yeah, because I forced it on you. I'm sorry.
That's
No, that's
fine.
fine.
I think
I do want to bring up a few miscellaneous things from X, if that's okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
And it's just mentioning, like, there's a few actually. I came across quite a few little missions, side missions that weren't necessarily with characters that I can actually remember, but they involved love. Like, there's I remember there is one mission where you have to introduce a guy. This one Blade member is really nervous. There's this girl outside that store over there, and she's beautiful. I don't know how to talk to her. So basically, Lynn jumps right onto this. Like, she's really into this. She's like, "Oh, we're gonna hook you up." Like, so the mission is to like help them talk, and then later in the mission, like, you kind of go throughout their, like, you see a little bit of their relationship developing, and I think this might actually even be multiple missions, but there's another one where he's trying to find a unique rock so he can, like, give her a ring, and basically Tatsu happens to be the only one who knows where to find said rock because it's a Napon thing. And so you go out after that and you get it for him, and, you know, you help him out. And that's about it for that one. I think the only other one that I think I want to mention really fast, because I already mentioned most of the others, was there's one where a Blade member runs off with a prone woman, and who, like, their parents are, like, really disapproving of their relationship, and so you have to get them to you have to help them, like, basically rendezvous on a rooftop so they can escape, kind of. It's a little bit Romeo and Juliet-ish. But that was another one that came to mind. I
totally forgot about Hope.
Oh. Yeah.
Hope is essentially, well, if I know the Xeno series is not all interconnected, but if it was, Hope is definitely yet another reincarnation of Sophia from Xenogears, because holy shit, there's so many throwbacks. And honestly, I think Hope just loves humanity, probably as much as Elma does, but probably not within the same power capacity.
I just
Sadly, I didn't have
checked
many
and I'm
dealings
like,
with Hope
I
at all.
remember that girl. I think I saw her only like once or twice, and I didn't really interact too much with her, so that's why I did not click at first.
Yeah. Her side quest, I think, goes into, there's this, like, church that's trying to say, oh, we only love humans, and Hope kind of is like, what? No. We have to all get along.
Yeah, basically.
I love that mission's name. Hope Springs Eternal. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I don't know if I mentioned another one at the start of this, but I can't remember it if I did, but I think there was another love-based mission, but that's all good. It's all good. I don't remember it right now, and I can't find it, so we can probably...
I think we can end it with X. We did a lot more than I thought we would do.
Oh, yeah. Thanks to you, Nick.
I'm sorry about that.
No, you're
that's
fine.
actually a good thing.
There's
just
so many characters in X, and there's so many different things going on that, yeah.
So wait, are we going to do, like, a part 3 for Xenoblade 2?
Honestly, you may as well. We got, like, almost an hour and a half.
Oh, yeah.
Just Xenoblade Cross.
Yeah, that's actually a really good idea, because we even have a bigger list than Cross. I changed it from X. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sure we'll come up with a lot more for 2, because that game is... I mean, well, actually, I think it's more in 2 that each individual relationship is a lot to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
so
it's much more in your face.
Alright, well, that's been XenoChat, Part 2 Love. It's going on a little bit longer than expected, so we'll be back with our next episode over Xenoblade 2 and Torna. So until next time, thanks for listening and have a good night.
Until next time.